In a world without sponsors, the following is brought to you by GTAforums.com, the GTA Network, and is sponsored by
Clucking Bell. Suffering never tasted so good.
If the goal is to be king of the world and own a lot of stuff, well, I've played that game, and I'm tired of it. I don't want to have $1 million sitting in my bank account halfway through the game, and yet the Holy Trinity are still doing dangerous missions for $1,000 here or there. It makes no sense. I want to keep getting pulled back. I want to feel their greed and feel that I need things to make that money burn a hole in my pocket, each dollar slipping away like sand between my fingers.
Hello GTA fans, Meta187 here, aka Meta Pathos, coming to you from GTAforums.com. You know, it's been often discussed in prior Grand Theft Autos, and certainly in the most recent, that after a short time into the storyline has passed, money just seems to lose its purpose as you progress and learn the quickest ways to get the few things you actually need to navigate through game missions. Now, I will say Rockstar has done a visibly good job of listening to fan feedback in recent years, and they've cited now on more than a few instances that money will have a much more functional use in a vital economy, will thrive in this newest installment. It's certainly a hope that this will apply not only in the single player, but the multiplayer as well. As we enter the final stages going into this hopeful spring fall release, I ask the dedicated fans of this series, what do you think would actually make money work and have value in this series? It seems like a simple enough question, but there are a lot of factors to consider. Popular open-world games like Fable and Saints Row seem to adopt the property buying system that was so very well liked in Vice City and San Andreas, and they've carried those forward in all their installments. But at some point, GTA took a turn on this and decided that their game was something more than simply being the kingpin of the world who wants for nothing and owns every corner of the map at the end of the game, with nothing left to do but roam around aimlessly in a slightly anticlimactic way. While GTA is ultimately a crime fantasy at its core, it's also a reflection of our present culture, and more broadly, it's an impossible opportunity to see the choices we would make given an unprecedented amount of freedom to move within that culture. While many video game conventions remain, character development and plot development have taken center stage as the people who originally designed this game have themselves matured and changed priority about what they feel is a relevant and quality-filled gaming experience. While I'm sure the core group of fans get what Rockstar has done thus far, and we trust their collection of savvy developers and writers in all departments to produce once again the most innovative, entertaining, and groundbreaking game to date, and to also make sound choices in regards to gameplay, it is always good to hear back from us about what works and doesn't work at the end of the day. I'll just kick off this particular discussion with what a few of us privately spoke on here behind the scenes, and I'll open the floor to anyone here who wants to add to this or bring something of their own to the table. Once again, just really take a moment out and think really hard about what you like about spending money in a game, and when that particular angle of the game no longer seems entertaining, but it becomes a static accumulation on the corner of your heads-up display. One thing something that becomes fairly routine for veteran GTA players upon first entering the shiny new sandbox, aside from the great experience of exploring, is finding the workarounds. Where is the health? Where is the armor? Where are the exploitable glitches? Don't have a rocket launcher to take out that next large group of enemies in the next mission? Well, no problem. Swim across some water to an island, grab a rocket launcher off a rock in the bay. From there, go home, save your game, and go back for another. Rinse, repeat until you're satisfied. Rinse, repeat until you're satisfied. It's not exactly cheating, is it? But it is kind of boring. It's there on the map and readily available if you know where to find it, but you put in very little effort to acquire it. Now let's imagine for a moment a simple change. That all power-ups, armor, and weapons were removed from the world map. If you want a pistol, well, you'll have to do something dangerous to get it. If you want a shotgun or assault rifle, you'll have to gather the funds or perhaps burglarize a well-fortified gun enthusiast's home to get it. You want that previously mentioned rocket launcher for a big battle? No problem. That rocket launcher is at an ammunition where you can purchase many conventional weapons and body armor. But it's in the back room, not sold to the public, and has a 6-inch steel reinforced vault door blocking you from accessing it in a simple smash and grab situation. Well, you'll need C4 explosives to get through that door, but the Cluck and Bell ain't exactly handing that out as the free toy with their kids' meal. It is, however, in a military warehouse on an army base on the north side of town, with a little know-how about when the guards do their rotations or a decent set of wire cutters. Perhaps you could breach the fence and make your way to the warehouse to snag the explosives, and then make your way back to clean out the back room for a one-time robbery of the rare artillery they keep there. You won't be able to come back tomorrow and reclaim your prize. The door will be repaired and you'll have to start the process over again. Not an impossible task, but certainly a little more fulfilling than simply finding an unearned college degree lying on the street with your name on it. In a nutshell, that really is what it comes down to in games. As a player, we appreciate far more the things we earn as opposed to the things we are given. The ultimate value of an item comes down to the time and the effort we invested in acquiring it. It's an old-fashioned notion, perhaps, but that's often how the human psyche attributes worth to things. The one consolation I would offer the give it to me now crowd, were something like this to go through, is there will always be weapon cheats for people who could give two shits about reasonable game pacing or character development. Last year, around May of 2012, with the release of Max Payne 3, Rockstar Social Club launched a brand new multiplayer crew system. We here at GTA Forums were quick to jump on that and actively get involved. However, in Max Payne 3, money really seems to lose its value around 30 levels in, and it just sort of sits there as you grind towards level 50. Not terribly inspiring. In GTA 4, it determined your rank to some degree. In Red Dead Redemption, your legend status. How about having a limited and active economy within the multiplayer crew system? When someone loots you, they don't just take a fictional random amount that doesn't affect you in any way, but they actually take money from your inventory, out of your pocket, man. This makes the stakes higher and the sting of losing money to an enemy much more personal. Here's how it could work. You choose a mode or a lobby to play in and pick the setting of how much money you're willing to lose or how much money you're looking to rob from the next guy. Similar to the wager system possibly, but with different tiers. Chump change to high stakes, and your crew's ranks collective bankroll will tell the tale of who's making moves and who's getting got. Money should have value. It should buy you ridiculous shit you think you want or need and hurt like a son of a bitch when you lose it. Let's say, for example, you and your crew plan a heist. You pay for the weapons, the armor, the vehicles, and even the ammo from your own personal collective funds, essentially bankrolling the heist. You go to rob a bank, The only problem is there's another crew looking to rob the same bank and shooting it out with you and the authorities as you both struggle to make off with the loot. In the end, one crew invested wisely and got away successfully with the heist reward. The other crew is left broke and holding the bag as the police close in on them to conclude the match. The more successful heists you complete against other crews, the more your crew's collective money and rank reflect that and show on the leaderboards. Sound good?
Yes, sir!
One of the things from San Andreas I was hoping would be a little more fleshed out, I was really looking forward to it, was your ability to command a small group of people, a gang, a crew, whatever you want to call it. Having to bankroll your own impromptu side missions with people like this to pay for their services could potentially provide hours of fun. However, this was more on a respect system that they would follow you, but I think it could be done differently if they really thought this through. Sadly, your homies in San Andreas were often terrible shots and incredibly ineffective in an actual firefight. It seems like there was some effort to keep the AI just a little dumb as to not do all the work for you. You turn to this guy who is supposed to be protecting you with his life, and he's either just standing there or firing repeatedly into a wall, nowhere near the enemy or off in the distance. However, some years back, there was this little game called Freedom Fighters. This was a third-person type shooter, was generally fun and appeared on a couple of platforms, but wasn't a massive hit. The one thing this game did remarkably well was their in-game squad command feature. You could literally direct your freedom fighters to any place you could move your reticle and direct them to a priority target on the field to focus fire upon. This particular mechanic defined the game and worked incredibly well. Mass Effect tried to use it a bit but fell short. Seriously, the efficiency in which you could move your unit to defend, advance, or attack felt as reliable as being on the ground level giving orders in a high-profile real-time strategy game. Bringing this back to Grand Theft Auto, imagine a group of hired criminals moving with you, helping you do an independent side heist in this fashion. That would certainly be worth paying for and doing multiple times. You could invest in their gear and weapons and even armored vehicles to make a getaway in. When one died, you'd feel the sting of that because that's someone you actually invested money into making an effective accomplice. This sort of activity could be fun and have a lot of random factors well after you completed the game. To mention maybe another game where they applied this in a good fashion, I really did like what they did in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. I think it definitely adds something to feel like you're operating within a group. I enjoy the RPG-like aspect of having your individual characters, recruits, level up in skill and ability as you sent them on missions and used them. That just really worked well. You know, I really cannot stress how cool it is to really have that precise, specific control over the positioning and actions of each person under your command. It makes a marked difference, gets you involved in a way that you wouldn't be normally. If there's people around you doing their own thing, you're not quite as there. But if you actually have that control over them, you are very focused on every aspect of the firefight. You know, I'm sure a bit of that thinking went into the three protagonist mechanic that they're introducing in this new installment. As they stated, they don't want people to feel like there are any dead spots in the missions. You get bored driving, you switch to the guy shooting or the guy sniping across the street. There's a lot of potential in that. To have the ability to control a small group outside of Michael, Trevor, and Franklin's co-op missions, and to have smaller repeatable side tasks for them to do would add a ton of replayability to this game well after it's been completed, and a good reason to spend and invest money. Another way in which they could just make that whole bank robbery scenario compelling is applying a reasonable degree of difficulty to the value of what you want to take. And that would work wonders. You want to break into an ATM and possibly you bring along some tools to do so. However, doing it manually takes an extremely long time. We're talking 3 or 4 minutes in game here, hoping all the while that police walking by won't notice you, in which case you'll go to an immediate 2-star wanted level. And let's say maybe you're not one for subtlety, you lose your patience, and you hook up a winch to the ATM and yank it out of the wall, or smash directly into a storefront with a truck. I actually saw this one time when I was working night audit at a hotel in Orlando. It was fucking crazy. Anyway, from that point, you would actually drag the box down the street or chuck it into the back of your truck, all the while fending off a 4-star wanted level. And when you got to a safe place, you could, crack it open like an oyster, but you might need some tools, and it would still take a good couple of minutes to make that happen. And for that ultimate big game hunter who wants to rob a bank on their own without the other two protagonists, sure you can, cowboy. The only small problem with that is that robbing a bank on your own without a plan or backup is really fucking difficult. Like the hardest side thing you could actually do in the entire game. Police response should be severe and immediate. Pulling out a gun on the bank teller may net you a couple $100 from her cash drawer, but if you want to stick around and crack open that vault, you should be required to have specific tools for doing just that, have to carry the money in cumbersome duffel bags, and be prepared for a tooth and claw gunfight during the entire process. As the authorities gather outside around the bank, this whole series of events may follow a brief warning over a megaphone. Come out with your hands up or we're coming in there. From there, you have about 2 minutes before highly trained snipers start taking pot shots and SWAT members start kicking in the front door. On the chance you are successful, you may grab a hostage and that could get you to your car, but that's about it. Snipers will still take that shot if they have it, and the police will pursue you aggressively and to the fullest extent until they are well convinced you are either dead or gone. In the end, pulling off something like this would make you feel like a bona fide badass and be truly rewarding because the chance of failure the entire time was likely and no one factor was predictable. That's about all we have for now for this installment of For the Love of Money, brought to you by GTA Forums and the GTA Network. I certainly hope you felt it was enjoyable and you got something interesting from it. And if you didn't, f*** your mother. One thing I would like true Grand Theft Auto fans to know is that Rockstar Games actually did take notice of this topic at our forum, and we got some very positive feedback from them. So as a result, we just felt it was important to bring this whole topic to a broader audience.
Can you dig it?
Not everybody's into reading, long-winded, waxing poetic posts at a gaming forum. Some of you Mongos are probably half illiterate. I certainly get that.
Ignorance is bliss.
But at this point, to be realistic about it, with the game officially being pushed back, who's to say what's being added or taken out at this point? As far as a video game fan base goes, Grand Theft Auto has a large international community, and we'd just like to hear back your thoughts and impressions on the topic at hand. Really just give it some general chewing on and come back to us and post your thoughts here, and we can probably add this into the topic, just something for them to think about and consider, and it just makes things move along better at the end of the day. Seacrest out! Piss off, you dirty shits. Meta's out the dough! Dollar bill, y'all.
Y'all like the turntable.
Skills.
Rest in peace.
point blank, we vital. Spit flows, rip shows, peep the recital.
Skills.
Nah, you feel it when we drop those hot beats, stop foes, killing it, we got those
Skills.
It's the music that the street loves. Each thug is now repping this with deep love.
Skills.
Gangstar, dueling again, ruling again. Watch as we do it again. It's the true and living with a youthful vengeance. And I'm a judge Mathis, your ass give you a crucial sentence. You need at least 12 Jews to practice. You're too enthusiastic, using actress. Still trying to convince us some more. Pretending you're raw, that's what you need a minister for. Again, it's the law, got you up against the wall. We the gulliest, everything is us against y'all. Mic skills, tight drills like I'm Michael Jim. Like when he rifle the bill, it's how I stifle the ill. Slide off, kid, and let a grown man finesse it. We bold and impressive, that'll I manifest you. Some new product from a known team. Brothers know me, and you can bet they know Preem. So here we go for your stereo, and you can tell that it's real when you hear me go.
Skills.
Top rank, point blank, we vital.